Homeowners insurance is one hot topic right now. I am so excited to have a special guest join me today to dispel the many myths about homeowners insurance. Let's welcome Luciano Sewell from HomeServices Insurance.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here today.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. I've pulled some frequently asked questions from our viewers, so let's get rolling.
Okay.
Does how a buyer finance their home purchase matter in terms of homeowners insurance?
It does, actually. So the difference are, of course, are you buying with a loan or are you buying in all cash? When you're buying with a loan, there are more requirements to the home in terms of the valuation method. Some lenders only accept certain valuation types. Whereas when you're buying a home for cash, it typically depends on how you're gonna occupy the home that determines the insurance.
You mentioned occupied. How about how the property is going to be occupied? For example, a primary home, secondary home, or rental property impacts homeowners insurance.
It does actually, Karen. So what an insurance carrier looks for is they look at the risk exposure. So let's say you have a second home. Well, technically, a lot of times during the year, you may not be there. So if something happens, who's going to respond? Who's going to call emergency services if a fire starts? It drastically impacts the premiums on a home insurance.
Good point. So if it's a primary or secondary or a rental property, does that impact the value of the premiums?
So what it does is they look at a primary home where you're going to live regularly as a lower risk. And then from there it scales up. A rental property has a completely different set of risks because now they're not trying to just account for you, they're accounting for the tenant, who they may have not screened, right? They know who you are, they know you're good to go, but what does that tenant do to the premium? And then of course, a secondary home, you're not gonna be there much, and then an investment home, meaning you might be rebuilding it or renovating it, that has a different set of risks, and they all get more expensive as you go.
Great points. So the last question from our viewers are first-time home buyers at a disadvantage for getting homeowners insurance?
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're at a disadvantage. They actually do have one advantage that does work in their favor is they don't have claims history for being a homeowner, right? So there's no way to say, hey, you have the likelihood to increase our exposure for water damage or for fire damage or for theft damage. You've never owned a home. So it's kind of like a college student who just got their first credit card, right? Like, hey, we're gonna give you this $25,000 limit and then we're gonna base it on how you do. So technically I would say they have an advantage in the market.
That's interesting because, obviously on the financing side, not having established, credit as a first-time home buyer is kind of a disadvantage in that scenario, but it sounds like they have an advantage when it comes to homeowners insurance.
Exactly, because you don't have any claims history that they can base their determination off of. It's a blank slate for you as a homeowner.
Obviously, Luciano is an expert at our homeowners insurance marketplace. So, Luciano, if people want to have more information on homeowners insurance or have specific questions to their needs, how can they get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with us is either to go through our website, but we actually primarily focus on the relationships that come from, say, Karen Fryling. So if you are in the market for a home or you have questions about your home, the first thing to do is contact Karen. And she'll go through some questions so we can make sure we don't just waste your time. And then from there, once we know the status of your home, we'll be more than happy to get you an insurance quote.
So it sounds like if you have further questions, let's connect. Until next time, stay safe.